Welcome back, culinary kids. So, what are we going to do now? So, we've done several things in this lesson. We've done slicing of zucchini. We have bâtonnet and julienne zucchini and potatoes. We've diced potatoes. We just minced some onion, as you can see here. Okay. And now we're going to basically mince garlic. Okay. So this is one of the requirements in my household. Onions and garlic. I like to cook Italian food all the time. And this is, do yourself a favor. It's so easy to chop and mince garlic that don't go buy those jars in the refrigerated section where they're already chopped. Who knows how long it's been sitting there for them. The fresh garlic is really worth it. So, and it doesn't take a long time to do this. So this is something you can do very quickly. So in this assignment, I asked you guys to do about 6 cloves of garlic. So, I think some students had one garlic that was very small. So if you don't have that many, that's fine. Just enough where you can kind of show that you understand the technique. So this is basically a whole head of garlic, okay? Now individually inside here is the cloves of garlic. And you have this papery skin on it here. Now, one thing, I remember when I first started learning to do this, I would just peel off the skin. It would get my fingers sticky. It was kind of nasty. It took forever, and then all of a sudden, it just got in my fingernails. It was just not really the proper way to do this. There's much easier ways to do this. So, what you're gonna do is lay your garlic flat on a cutting board. Take your chef knife, and what we're gonna do, and this time we're not gonna hold it like we're gonna be cutting, because we're not gonna be cutting this. I'm gonna hold the flat side of the knife against the garlic, like so. Sharp side of the knife pointing away from you. So let's make sure you can see this. Let's move the onion out of the way. Okay. So, sharp side of the knife pointing away from you. You're gonna take the palm of your hand and you're gonna basically pound it on top of the knife. So you're just gonna go. And if you just, this is a pretty big head of garlic. Oops, sorry. And when you do that, it's going to come apart like so. And I'm just going to keep on hitting it a couple more times. And what you notice is the garlic starts coming out and these little cloves come out. This is a pretty large piece of garlic. So these are really huge cloves. So now, as you can see here, the papery skin just comes right off. Now some of it still gets a little sticky, and that kind of happens in garlic. So I'm just going to kind of take all the papery skin off of this stuff as much as I can. And I'll show you what it looks like after you do so. So let's sweep up these. And almost there. And let's just kind of scoop that out of here. And having a bowl near you so you can dump the scraps into it is a really good idea. You want to keep your cutting board clean. So there we go. So these are pretty large cloves of garlic if you look at these. That's what we get. So if you do have one like this, if you don't have 6, that's fine. If you have huge ones like this, you can do 3 or 4 of these things and that would be sufficient for this assignment. But yeah, so these are pretty large. I've had some where they're really tiny cloves. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do 4 of these. So let's kind of lay these aside and we'll just kind of work on these guys here. So just like we did with opening the entire head of garlic, we're going to do the same kind of technique to kill and open up these cloves. So they have this kind of really rough papery skin. So this is kind of a very fine skin. This is a little bit tougher, okay? Now, I remember, again, when I first started learning, I was like, well, how do I get this off of here? I tried many techniques. I would sometimes take a knife and cut it and then peel it off. And if you want to do that, that's fine, but there's much easier, more efficient ways to do this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to repeat the same technique that we just did with the entire head of garlic. Take the clove, flat side of the knife, sharp side pointing away from you, palm of your hand. What happens, now you got the clove of garlic. That's how easy it is. So we're just going to repeat the same step here. Again, flat side of the knife, fingers pointing up. Sometimes it takes a couple tries. This one's a little, and you'll find, and some of them are a little, this one's a little ornery here. Okay, but there we go. There is two. Let's just repeat the same thing for the other two. And if it smashes it open, that's fine. You're going to be cutting this anyway, so it's okay. So we're just going to get that rough skin off of it. There we go, and one last one. And if you were making a dish where you need a lot more, you could just keep on repeating the same process. Now here's one interesting. Okay, so you got a small little clove inside this clove. So we're going to crack it open a little bit more. And there you go. So there is the garlic cloves. And again, you got a tiny, tiny one. If you want to crack it open, you could. Again, this doesn't have as much inside of it, but there is still some garlic inside of it. Just make sure you don't get the papery skin and what you're cooking, because that's not good. And that's what your garlic looks like this. Okay. Now, at the very head, the ends of the garlic is kind of a tough, kind of a, I don't know, like a rough part of it, and the bottom side. So what I always do is, now we're going to hold the knife again, like we do, three fingers under, hold and stabilize the knife around this. Remember, you got more flexibility with your knife when you do this. If you hold it like this, you don't have flexibility. So hold it like so, around the knife, and curl fingers in, make sure they're away from the blade, and down and forward. Cut off the top, cut off the bottom of it. Repeat that with the rest of them. Okay. Some of them may not have as much of that, so you don't have to worry about it as much. Some of them you can kind of see they have that rough top on them. So I'm just going to cut this off. You don't want that in your food, cooking. Last one. This one looks like most of it's off. So, and now we're just going to take that and throw that away. So now here's your garlic. Let me clean up just a tiny bit, because the thing about garlic is it gets kind of sticky in your fingers. So when it does that, just wash up and you should be fine. So now we got these big heads of garlic. So what are we going to do next? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of slice them, thin slices, along the long side of it, and then I'm going to rotate it, and then I'm going to chop it fine. So we're trying to mince the garlic. So again, same technique that we've done before. Hold the knife the same. Hold your fingers so that, make sure you don't hurt them. And we're just going to do, again, this is the technique, not a guillotine. Down and forward, down and forward, down and forward. So we're just going to kind of hold it, stabilize it, and I'm just going to cut real thin slices of it, real slowly. Okay. And these are the little slim slices of your garlic, all right? And then let's just repeat that process. Well, actually, before we do that, let me just kind of show you what I'm going to do with this guy. So now I'm going to kind of put them together like so. And now I'm going to, like this, you're going to hold them together. Same technique, down and forward. And I'm going to go really small. Really slowly. There's no hurry here. And as you're doing it, you're moving your fingers back. Okay? And again, you want to ride the fingers along the side of your, so you're kind of going along the flat side of your knife, or of your hand, I'm sorry. And that is, it's garlic. Now, what we could do is we could do the cross chop. Again, palm here, stabilize the knife. You're not pushing down, you're just stabilizing, make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And this is where you can chop it and mince it as small as you want it to be. And once you have practiced this, next thing you know, it's going to be, you're like, why did I ever buy garlic in a jar at the market? And that is your minced garlic. So let me repeat the other ones for you and show you the techniques. You can kind of watch me doing this. Clean off the knife. Be very careful when you're doing that. So I'm going to take the next one. Again, same technique. I'm going to hold it like so. And I'm going to slice very slowly, small garlic, so don't be real fast here. Rotate it. Just going to wipe it off for a second. And I'm going to repeat the same thing here. You can make it as small or large as you want, depends on what you're doing. But typically, if I'm making an Italian dish, I'm going to probably put at least 3 to 4 cloves in it. So this one's kind of big, so one thing you could do, you could cut it in half if it's easier. If it's too big to work with, cut it in half. And then what you can do, you can also do this technique. Take your fingers and put it around the garlic. Drive it down through the middle of it, like so. And you can make it in smaller slices, if that makes it any easier for you. Again, use what technique works. Now I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to hold it together and I'm just going to cut through it. I have these little slices. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same technique. Really slow because it's small. So be careful here. And then what I'm going to do once I'm done here is I'm going to cross chop all this. So let me just finish these. Half. Again, sometimes it's just easier to cut it in half. And then hold it on both sides, cut it down, and then just pick up speed as you get more comfortable with this process. Just be careful because the sharp knife is nearby. And then we cross chop all this to make it even smaller. So we're almost done. So this one we're going to cut in half. Keep your fingers tucked in. Just do it slowly. There's no hurry here at all. One last one. Okay, so now I had some that I already cut down real small, and I got some that I just cut. So I'm going to use the cross chop again. So hand and palm on side. I'm going to basically be doing this kind of technique, like I'm going to do down and forward, or you can do straight up and down in this case. So here, you can just go back and forth. I'm sweeping it up. And do it until you get the desired size consistency that you want. And as you can see, those were very large cloves, so this is going to make a lot of garlic. gonna make it a little bit smaller. And practice that, the more it's gonna get comfortable. And if you only get a couple cloves, maybe you don't want that. This is a lot of garlic, so when I'm making a dish, I usually don't use this much garlic in it. Maybe if I make a lasagna and it's a big, it's a big platter, I put a lot of garlic into it in that case. But outside of that, and I'll maybe saute this. I'll put the sauce. I'll make the homemade sauce. Throw that into with the pastas and all the cheeses and everything I make. And we're going to learn how to do that in this class as well later on. Probably late in semester 1 or early semester 2. We'll get into that. So anyway, that is mincing garlic. So hopefully you'll have an opportunity to do this in this assignment. I would encourage it. It's a great thing, and the aroma is just amazing. It does get your hands a little sticky. Anyway, so let me clean up, and I'll be back, and I'm going to show you one last thing. I'm going to show you how to cross-chop herbs. So we're going to do parsley next. So we're going to be right back.